Assuming I am visible and audible, I like to start in 3, 2, 1. Judge. Imagine a world where art no longer has any point. No human emotions, no feeling. Cold, stale art is all around. This is Op's world. And then there's our world, a world where art continues to have human emotions, power, meaning in its art, and where art still has a point and still thrives as a career and a hobby. This is Op's. This is Gov's world. So when we talk about a world where art cannot be generated by artificial intelligence and would require significant human input, it means like an AI cannot like and cannot generate like 100% AI generated artwork, and it has to be like at least like 90% of the work has to be human. And so it has to, as in the motion it says, and would always require significant human input. So now I like to so in this case, artificial intelligence in this case is where you like write in a code and or a command, and then it just produces and generates a random piece of art. And then also there's like these like apps and softwares where you can like put in a phrase or something, and then it just generates a piece of art that's pretty visually appealing and such. So our team's goal in this debate is to revive and keep art and thrive with humans making it well, with expresses messages and emotions, and also letting humans just keep doing art. So before I move on, is there any POIs? Assuming there is no POIs, I like to now move on to my first argument. So my first argument is that there will be no POIs, no point in art. So how is this true? In a world where AI can generate art and there's no human emotions, no messages, no nothing. So think about it. So why is this, first of all, why is this important? If there isn't any human emotions or anything or messages in this art, then there won't be any point in art anymore. Because the main point in art is for artists to convey their messages through these pieces of art, and as for example, in all art pieces that are like important, and like most artists always have an artist statement where it shows like the messages and emotions that they put into the art. And so that is the point of art, although it is also for appealing, but most people use it for like expressing emotions and messages and such. So secondly, how will AI generated art not have these emotions and such? So if a computer with no humans emotions and no messages just spits out and generates a piece of art with like a line of code or a command, then of course there will be zero human emotions and zero messages throughout this piece of art. So although it may look pretty appealing, there won't be any human emotions and such, which I already told you is the main point of art. And so it would just be a piece of art that is visually appealing, but doesn't really have a purpose or meaning into it. And so before I move on, is there any POIs? So assuming there are no POIs, I like to move on to my second argument. So in the long term, art will be gone. So you may be asking, like, what am I talking about, and like, how is this true? So if as in the status quo, if art is easier to make and produce with AI, and it works pretty well and looks cool and looks visually appealing, like in the status quo, then why would there be any need for artists to like thrive and like want to produce art when there are like people out in the outside like generating tons of art and such? and this will, as a result, in the long term, will like stop people from making art, because it is so easy to just produce art with AI generated things. And so, so before I move on, is there any POIs? Assuming there are no POIs. So how is this true? So if an AI in art makes it much easier for people to produce art, and it works pretty well and it looks visually appealing, then no one will really have an incentive or like like reason to like produce like art by themselves, because because it is easier to do these in um, these AIs. And so why is this important? If all these people are now using AIs just to generate these art with AIs, then there won't be any art with messages and that and emotion left in the world. And so it will be it will stop like all this art from having these emotions and such. And so it just won't, it will and all around be bad. So now so what have I told you in my speech? So first of all, I have explained basically what both worlds look like, our world and opposition's world. Then I framed and talked about what these AI generators are and like what the motion means. Then I presented our team goals, and then I presented my first argument, which is about how with these AI generated art, there won't be any emotions or messages into these arts, which is the main purpose of art. And lastly, for my second argument, I have explained and said that if AIs will eventually like stop and de-incentivize people from making real art. And so, yeah, thank you.
Okay, and I'll start my speech in 3, 2, 1. So we see that the art, so we see that a lot of people do some art in order to express their feeling, and they do art in order to express what they want. So we see that we support the world which AI just have a art, and human just AI just like do some art which human just want. So for example, if we just say a keyword, the AI will just write the and draw a whole thing. So being said, now I would like to build our first argument. Now I would like to move on to our first argument. So we see that AI generation of the art will fulfill the purpose of the art. So what is the purpose of the art? The purpose is to express the opinion freely, and it is to express what they actually want. So we see that if AI is generated about about the art, they can actually have they can actually fulfill the purpose of the art, because they help those human and they help those human to express, and actually this express. So even if the person can draw actually well, the AI will just draw it. AI will just draw it, and no, and this will help, and you see that this will express the what they want. So we said, why is this important? So we proved to you that AI needs to generate art in order to fulfill the purpose of art, which is to express their feeling. Yeah.
How will an AI generate and produce opinions and emotions if an AI does not feel emotion or have any opinions?
Okay. So actually they can, because if for example, if we search something if we search something, we said there is a lot of res- a lot of kind of research, a lot of research and a lot of sites. So like this, if we put some keyword, we see that AI will be able to draw it, and they can actually express it. So this proves to you that AI needs to generate art in order to fulfill the purpose of art, and because it made the individual express their feeling. So also this actually engaged the OG, because this engaged with the OG, because actually through the generation, they can actually fulfill the purpose of art. Yes, so, and this can also incentivize those people who, because it has a high access of it. So now moving on to our second argument. Our second argument is that the generation of the AI will be able to help people achieve their dream. So there's a lot of people who want to express their feeling, and there are a lot of people who want to be artists. However, there are some people who can't actually draw something, and they can't actually express something well. So then we see that AI can actually help them. Since it has high accessibility. High accessibility. So then a lot of people will be able to do some art, and they will be able to express their feeling. So yeah, because AI actually is almost perfect, and they can draw whatever. They can have some image and drawing of each thing. So then we said this will be capable to achieve achieve the people's dream, and they will be able to express their feeling and achieve their dream.
AI.
So how does this look like? So let's say that there was a people who want to express the ocean. However, the person
POI.
can't do it. Yeah.
By simply putting keywords, like you said, into like the AI, how will that convey emotions and opinions?
So actually, there can be a person who actually want to draw, but they don't want to, they can't express their feeling realistically. Then AI will actually help, because it is perfect, and it can actually draw it realistically. So this proves to you that the human will be more feasible on draw something, because they have better accessibility, because AI can draw anything. AI can draw anything. So also this also engaged with their argument, which was there will be actually less human who will draw something, because by AI, a lot of people will try to do some art, and try to express feeling, because it is very easy. So we prove to you that actually we need to be AI generated about the art, because this can make the art the individual, just normal people, can actually draw and express what they want. So what did I prove you today? So we proved to you that AI generation of art will actually fulfill the purpose of art, and we proved to you that AI generation can make people have some art and express their opinion well, and thus I'm proud of Paul.
So, as said before, I would like to accept POIs verbally, and my pronouns are he and him. And I would like to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. So, Judge, our world is a world where artificial intelligence creates art, meaning it basically defeats the purpose of art, the point of art, since it's used to fill its being it can't feel the actual human emotions and the human creativity. And also many jobs of artists are most likely going to be replaced, and their arts will slowly fade away, meaning artists, the ones who are who do art are in the long term are basically going to be overturned and not basically meaningful in the art society, in the art community. And basically op wants to take this away. So before going on to my argument, I would like to state my rebuttals. So the opening oppositions, leader of opposition says that AIs can make arts with their own opinions and feelings because AIs can research, etc. But how? We understand what like opening opposition is trying to say, but we think that AIs are not going to have their own opinion, their own matters to a problem in the world, which was the question, the POI by our Prime Minister. And by saying the leader of opposition, by saying that AIs will be perfect, which firstly which in this status quo is incorrect because they can make mistakes, etc. And secondly, he supports our argument by saying that this because he said humans basically can't draw and express emotions well, and they are bad at art, so they will use AIs to draw things. But that supports our argument, which is humans, which will only use AI to generate art, and art will no longer be drawn by humans, getting rid of the point of art and the basic point of art, which is creativity and their own opinions and feelings and matters to a problem in the world, or just being creative. And basically this was the main thing that opening opposition was trying to say, but now it does not stand. So before I go on, is there any POIs? Assuming there are no POIs, I would like to now go on to our first argument. And our first argument is that artificial intelligence will replace so many jobs of artists, and that is basically never going to be good and very harmful. So why is this so, and why does this matter? So Judge, think about this. Artificial intelligence, this means that they can produce mostly anything, because with the capability of artificial intelligence, meaning they're robots, so they can scour across the web, copy different aspects and make it into a piece of art. They can use and copy so many strategies and art pieces at a way faster rate than humans. And this is basically going to mean that most likely in the long term, we believe that if we allow these artificial intelligence, most likely going to replace many jobs of artists, because again, the artificial intelligence holds more capability than mere humans. And also, as in the rebuttal and I have stated earlier, these artists are going to use these AIs even more, so that creates more propensity analysis and why and how it's actually going to happen, because these artists arts aren't going to match the competition with the AIs. So basically they're going to use these AIs to make it, and basically again ruining the point of art and their creativity. And also, not only will artists possibly receive less money for their arts, or even none, because most will probably be similar with the AIs, but also, again, the point of their art will go away. And art is mainly about creativity. Inside ops world of how artificial intelligence is going to basically replace artists, this creativity will be gone, and there's again going to be not a single use of humans actually doing art and creating their own paintings, etc. And Now I would like to explain how what does this argument look like. So imagine you're an artist, but in a world where artificial intelligence is allowed, your art is not only neglected by the art community because of like all the POIs who produce art, and your art is most likely to sell less, and all of the hard work and work ethic that you put into your best art will be countered by an AI who finished in like matters of minutes. For example, like you're an artist, you spend days, hours trying to finish this portrait of somebody, and then that is going to be contested by the AI, and that will make you, an artist, feel bad about yourself and feel that this is the new way of art. Oh, you can just simply search things up, and now my work that costs me days can now be finished in a matter of seconds. So I can just look it up and do it. So there will be no creativity, and the point of art will go away. And now, is there any POIs? Seeing
Yes, I
there,
have a
yes.
So you mentioned on how in your example that an artist who would still be in the future of an AI would just like crumble down. But have you ever thought of the fact that there wouldn't be any at all, like
It's out of
when
order.
they're replaced by AIs?
Oh, out of word. Okay. I would like to now. So in conclusion, therefore, it's likely that artists will likely fall and their arts will fade away because one, AI can do the same thing as the artist. It can be visual appealing, and AI can do the same thing as artists, but even better in the span of way less time. And two, because of this, there won't be an incentive to create art. And in conclusion, my rebuttal was responding to how AIs AIs can't make art with opinions and feelings because it's not their own matters. It's not their own opinions and own matters, and how opening opposition supported our own argument, and my argument was how the PM's argument, and my argument was how artificial intelligence replacing jobs of how they replace jobs of artists is never going to be good. Thank you.
Am I audible?
Yep.
Okay. My speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Now just think of these like majority of people who just can't express their feelings to the society just because they can't draw art. Now, however, on the opposition side, on our side, we are able to like everyone will have access of AI and everyone is able to express their feeling in the society. Now, moving on to their case, they just talk about two things in this debate. Now, they just talk about like artist job will get replaced and the arts on our side will have no emotion at all. Now, like going into rebuttals about their case. Now, first of all, they talked about like artist job will be replaced. However, we see that artist job will not get replaced because it doesn't mean the artist will not draw uh, art. It means that there will be two kinds of markets right now. The first market is that the humans draw, and the second market, the new market, is where the AI generated arts are in the market. So we see that some consumers will like the artist where the humans draw, and some consumers will like the AI generated arts. So we see that the artist job will not be replaced. And now going into our and this rebuttal is very important because that it it proves that there is no harm in the artist, which is the like vulnerable people in the government side. In the government side. Now going into our second rebuttal is about like It's about like them talking about like there is no point in art because there are no human emotion. But just think about this. Just think about this. They just talked in the second speaker's case that AI will not be able to think of the problem themselves, which means who are able to think when they are making this art. It means the humans are able to think of this problem, not the AI, which means that there are the like emotion in the AI generated art will be not the AI's emotion, it will be the humans' emotion themselves in this art. Now this argument, this rebuttal is very important in this debate because
POI.
it okay.
So you're saying that won't be like there will be human emotions in it, but the humans aren't actually physically drawing or like coming up with.
Now I get what you're saying, but however, we see that in this debate, the most vulnerable people is the people who can't draw art, and by this application or this internet technology, the people who can't draw art are able to express their feelings or express their feelings by using AI, and their emotion of expressing their feelings are in that art You can't deny this. Because that people wanted to draw this art and wanted to express their feeling by making this art. It is the AI created art. The people who made the AI to draw this art is the humans themselves. Now, this rebuttal is very important in this debate because it proves that even in the AI generated art, it has a human's emotion, and it has a human emotion, and this makes on our side we have no harm at all. Now, moving on to extension of our case of moving on to our first extension. Our first extension is about like how AI generated arts are able to like fulfill the art's purpose. The art's purpose is about expressing the citizen feeling, and on the government side, they aren't able to do this because people who are not artists are not able to make art, and they are not able to express their feelings by this. However, on our side, even people who can't draw art, for example, the disabled people who can't draw art, they are able to draw art by using AI technology. They are able to draw art by using AI technology, and because of this, they are able to express their feelings to the society and the economy. Now, this argument of ours are very important because this means that we are fulfilling the art's purpose in this debate, and by fulfilling the purpose and like protecting the most vulnerable people in this debate, by like protecting the most vulnerable people, which is the citizens who can't express their feeling in the society. We are able to protect them, and by this and now moving on to our second our now like moving on to our second extension. Our second extension is about like uh there are access to everyone in there are access to everyone. Now, like I said, in the government's case, there are no access in their side. Now, the only artists are able to draw art and make art and express their feelings. However, on our side, everyone has access, which means that everyone has the same rights to draw, and everyone has the freedom to draw, and everyone has access to draw art. Now, this is very important because this is very important in this debate because by accessibility, by accessibility, citizens are able to prove citizens are able to express their feelings well in this debate, and by this I am proud to oppose.
Okay, may I start?
Yep, whenever you're ready.
Okay, let me just start my timer. Okay. Starting my speech in 3, 2, 1. Hello, my name is Noah, and today I would like to discuss why this motion is a great idea. Now, even though AI can make anyone be able to draw anything, that might not be such a good thing if you really think about it. My name is Noah, and today I'll be a member of government. Now, I think that this motion is a great deal because AEI has been taking over our competitions sometimes lately, and actually in one of them, an AI won an art contest, causing a lot of mass panic and chaos. This is the exact reason why we think that we should not be allowing AI art to thrive. I'll be explaining how some of the things that the opposition has said are actually not in fact true, and how the motion should be applied to the real world. First of all, they mentioned the purpose of art is to express the opinion clearly and express what they actually want. Now, I don't disagree with this, but they also mentioned that AI is generated using the text given, they can actually fulfill the purpose of art. I don't think that this is exactly true. First of all, half of the reason why certain artworks get popular or very well known is because of its history. Do you think that the Mona Lisa would exactly be famous if it was drawn by an AI in 2022? No. There will be no reason for why it would be so popular if the Mona Lisa was just made by typing a few words. They mentioned that it is expressing what the people want, but not some of the time, because AI is not always accurate. And if some lazy person puts in text and sells it online, is it really expressing anything or being artistic at all? Now, they mentioned that if we put in some keywords, it will feel, but I don't think that is exactly how it works. And I don't think that it is always true half of the time. They mentioned that there are certain people that cannot draw, so AI can help these type of people draw and express themselves, and that everyone will be able to do art and will be able to express feelings, but they're getting someone else to express their feelings for, which I don't think is exactly a very great way of doing it. And most of art is about the technique. So if we shove some text into AI, it will not achieve anything what a human may want. There will be no technique, no love, no passion. It will just be a drawing or a bunch of pixels that AI got by getting a bunch of other artworks, which is what I'm leading into right now. Because if these people if this AI is making artworks using other people's artworks, shouldn't that count as plagiarism? AI isn't just a magical thing that just works just like a snap. There has to be some references. It has to be a fed data. And where do these data come from? Other artworks, which is exactly why I don't think that this is exactly an original artwork and instead plagiarism. They mentioned that it will not mean that the artists will stop drawing and that there will just be two markets, which is not a great deal either, because if everyone is able to draw, then would there really be two markets, or would there just be one made for all AI drawings that people wanted to make? If we don't allow this motion to pass, then all artworks are just soulless drawings, just made by people who put in a little thought into typing something into the prompt bar. They mentioned there's no the government has mentioned that there is no emotion and that humans are, but then they reply that humans are the ones making it after all. But this kind of logic doesn't really work when we replace the AI with something else. Let's say that you give a 5-year-old a text prompt to draw. Will there be any emotions? I don't think that would be true. and the reason I'm comparing 5-year-olds to an AI right now is because it's practically the same thing. 5-year-olds haven't really learned anything about art yet. They just draw because it's fun. And most of the things that they learn from art is usually from other drawings. So if you give a 5-year-old a text prompt to draw, would there really be any emotions? Another thing that they said is that the most vulnerable people are the ones that can't draw art. And I would like to mention that learning is a thing, and there's a reason why people still learn to speak languages when there are translators. Learning how to draw art is what really accomplishes an artwork. If there's no effort given to it, it doesn't really feel right because it isn't. If there's no effort given to something that's supposed to be artistic, that's supposed to have feeling, then does it really have feelings, or is it just a bunch of pixels? They mentioned that disabled people can now also draw too, but they never mentioned what type of disabled people. And if they are so disabled to the point where they can't pick up a pencil and draw, how are they able to be type it or speak it? Of course, there could be helpers, people that help these people communicate. But why not just make them draw the art, which would be simpler in some sort of senses? And lastly, they mentioned that everyone will be able to draw and do whatever. Wouldn't this make artworks less unique? Let's think about it. If everyone can draw, everyone in the world, would there really be anything original anymore? If there's billions of peoples on Earth right now, and if most of that population can access a computer to draw anything that they want, it would make artworks less unique. It wouldn't really mean anything, and at that point, it doesn't really matter. In this speech, I talked about how if we do not let this motion pass, then artworks will become less unique. They will no longer carry emotions or technique, and there will be nothing but just pixels on a screen. Thank you for listening.
Right, my speech will start. Judge, even if artificial intelligence doesn't have their real feelings, they're actually able to create something that actually can inspire people. They're able to help the artists, and I like to prove this in my speech as the closing operative member. Okay, before moving on, I like to point out some things that the previous speaker and the opening teams overall have stated about. So, okay, the first minute of the debate, when the OG brings the argument that having artificial intelligence just breaks the point of art. Okay, so Judge, we do understand that some artists and all these people require emotions inside, so that's their basic mechanism. OG talks about how the AIs don't have emotions, but Judge, AIs can mimic the feelings of artists. Their case is not exclusive at all. They say that people stopped doing art, but if you believe that there's something like their feelings inside their drawings when real artists draw them by their hands, and AIs actually don't do that, why would artists stop drawing when the whole purpose is actually different? Look, AI.
POI.
Yeah.
Even if artists stop drawing, wouldn't their artworks not sell or not be visible to anyone because anyone can really draw whatever the artist drew himself?
I'm actually saying that artists won't give up, and I'm running. So I'm just saying that these artists won't actually lose their jobs because according to OG, they will have a difference between the artificial intelligence drawings and they will have this kind of emotion and feeling inside the drawing. If everyone knows about that, wouldn't everyone just know that, oh, this is the artificial intelligence drawing, this is the actual artist drawing, and I like this artist drawing or so? So that does their statements fails. So the OG says that AI will basically take over the artistic field or something. Doesn't this literally contradict your case, Judge? They say that the humans will put in emotions. Doesn't this mean that they think humans drawing have an actual benefit? With this argument, literally, they show that people will not be able to differentiate between artwork that a human made and the art that an AI made. So they pulled up their first and second argument down. So that next, I would like to rebut what the things that CG stated on. CG talks about these soulless drawings that AIs drew. Judge, we believe that this is completely overlapping the OG's case, but we will still rebut. Okay, it's just the same thing. So having that said, I would like to move on to our team's actual cases. Okay, I'll first extend what on the point that O provided. He stated that AIs can actually generate art and fulfill the purpose. So since his mechanism was very unclear, I'll explain how this can actually happen. Okay, just clicking on this coding thing, it doesn't really have any emotion at all. Why? Of course, who puts passion while clicking at things? Rather, people put in their emotions in their drawings by actually thinking. So, like what they would do. So, what I mean is that they would actually think, oh, I want to draw an apple. And then they will think, oh, I want this apple to kind of look really sad. So, I'll put in this kind of brush and this kind of effect in this drawing. So isn't okay. Isn't this just the same as trying to express emotion by the real drawings? The only difference is that AIs actually help humans to draw, but they still have, but these drawings still have emotion and the whole purpose of art. CG tried to prove that some arts became famous because of their history or so. He gave an example of Mona Lisa and then suddenly asked us, "Would you like that drawing if this drawing were made out of artificial intelligence in 2022?" That was just it. And then he said, "You wouldn't." But why? He didn't provide whatsoever mechanism, and he just asked and answered the question just by himself. I at least need some require some reasons to believe this. Why? I don't think that we like it because a human made it. I believe that this was just because the artist is a really famous person. And what does the history have to do really have to do with artificial intelligence? We're not talking about old drawings that they're all really good histories. We're just talking about artificial intelligence drawings. Okay, he compared a 5-year-old and an artificial intelligence art pieces. Okay, of course, what kind of spirit would a 5-year-old put in? Artists can actually think about what and how and why will they draw this thing, and they just know the whole purpose of drawing it, even if they try to draw it by artificial intelligences. So now the first argument is no exclusive reason. Judge, we don't understand why the humans need to do 90% of the work when the AI does only 10%. The OJ agrees that AIs hold more capabilities than the artists. Then why not use it? Okay, if they work so hard and work day and night to show their emotions, wouldn't there be a difference? Judge, just because the AI does 1% more doesn't mean that the quote-unquote human artwork is gone. We believe that AI can actually help humans more and make the work easier. The government bench might come out and say that there would be no more emotions, but this is illogical because of the following reasons. A, humans can contribute at least a little bit. B, even if this is true, it is not a harm. They provide no whatsoever characterization to what the harm is. See, even if this is a harm, the impact is so small. People don't really even care about the emotions. You don't say that, oh, this kind of describe this kind of parts. Like I said, the DPM agreed to this contradicting their case. So now our second argument is artist creativity. Judge, is there a rule and like a book explaining about how to draw art in the correct way? Even if we use artificial intelligence, we still have a reason for drawing this, and they still have something different points compared to other drawings. We should always remember that making a piece of art can be in a lot of different ways, and they just need to have like a reason for drawing, and they just need some reasons. So it is not like just because the AI drew this, it just becomes a thing that is only solely made by AIs, and we can't even respect can't we just even respect these people for expressing their thoughts? That we don't understand why we need to acknowledge arts when they're only made by human hands. Ways aren't important. They can still show what they feel even having AIs. AIs are quote unquote human that listen to introductions. Judge, for a world where people can enjoy all types of art, please vote for the closing opposition. Thank you for listening.
Okay, so assuming that I am audible and visible, I will take my POIs verbally and I would like to start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Judge, we think that the opening side wasn't able to actually clarify what this motion was about and how to be able to explain this correctly. But then the closing opposition side also wasn't able to clarify this clearly, as they tried to just elaborate on what the opening opposition side said. So, from the closing side's government whip, I would like to be able to express what this motion should actually go through with on our side as the government side, and then furthermore explain why the closing government should be able to win this debate. So first, I would like to summarize what the opening side actually talked about. So on the Prime Minister's first speech, he talked about how there would be no emotion and that it would be really sad because then since AI can't generate 100% of the work, we would still need humans and there would be no point in art. Well, that's true, because if an AI does this, there is no point in even having a human there, because once a robot is able to do something, they can constantly do it again and again and again and again. This means that there is no use for a human to actually be there. If you think of a situation where you're a producer of art in an industry and you have a robot and a human, how much more would you have to pay a human than a robot to be able to do the same amount of work, except the robot can do it like twice as fast and can do double the amount? Then, even by logic and just thinking about it, you would obviously have a robot. So seeing this situation, you already know that robots will be able to take over more parts of the industry than humans because they're already more efficient than we are, but they still lack in some aspects. Here's the thing. So, this motion is talking about how it prefers a world where art cannot be generated by AI and would always require significant human input. But here's where the problem comes in. The opposition side talks about how the humans would just give the idea and then the robots would do it. But then whose idea was this? And who is the main person that came up with this whole art in the first place? It's the human. The human was able to put in the idea and they were able to picture what the art would be like. Then all the robot did was simply carry out the action. That means that even though there's convenience, and if the government side even uses this, it would still be on our side of this debate, because if the opposition side is trying to explain how AI should be able to just take over most of the art industry into when making even like a piece of art, humans would do their own art and AI would do their own art, but AIs can't do that yet. So the fact that the opposition side is trying to give an idea where a person would just think about it and the robot would carry it out already explains that they also agree on the fact that AIs can't actually do everything on their own, which is why even with this human input, it is really significant because humans are already able to get the background of everything that will be in this art, which is why we're saying that the opposition side is basically agreeing with what the government side is saying. And they significantly go through this in their whole speech. Most of what the opposition side is saying is basically around this topic, which is why, Judge, I think that with this one speech in my part, we should be able to win the opposition side already, seeing that they put too much emphasis on this part where they rebut against how we don't have any emotion when we use an AI, and then also talk about how robots will be able to just help a person and that they would just be convenient. But this convenience isn't saying that a robot can do everything by themselves. And we're saying that from our side of this debate, robots, if to develop too much, will be able to take over. But when the opposition side talks about how we should have a world where we cannot even have AIs that always require significant human input, means that a person still has to be able to do this, which is why we don't want to have AIs, because this house. Yeah, since this house would prefer a world where art cannot be generated by AI and would always require significant human input. So this means that in the opposition side, they're supposed to prove how AIs can just be able to do it well without humans, but instead they talk about how their humans will still be able to give them ideas and how robots will be able to help humans. They're not talking about how AIs can just do it. This house is supposed to talk about how they should be saying that AI should be able to do this on their own and don't require human input. But that's not what they're talking about, Judge. And from the PM and the DPM side, they talk about how there will be absolutely no emotion, and how on our side's member of government also mentions this, which is why I want to explain more why this actually doesn't show and why the opposition side doesn't understand how there won't be actual emotion. So here's the thing. AIs can't exactly think for themselves a lot. They can't intercept or anything like understand and have emotions on their own. Even the opposition side agrees with this. They talked about how AIs would mimic human emotions. They never talked about how artificial intelligence can generate their own art like thoughts and feelings. This means that our AI can't exactly feel anything. And so if you were to just tell a robot to draw, then obviously a robot wouldn't be able to put in a large extent of human input and human emotions because they don't have this thought yet. They're doing is following out commands that a human gives. This means that a lot of the opposition stance is already crumbling down. Now, I would like to be able to give a few parts on the opening government side and explaining why our team should be able to win this debate. So, yeah, the government side opening mentioned a lot on how there would be like too much replacement of jobs, and because, like I also mentioned, AIs can also replace jobs because it's too efficient. But they didn't go on a lot about the incentive on why humans would be able to be replaced or why an AI wouldn't be able to do this for themselves. They just explained it and then never gave any explanation behind it, which is why, Judge, I'm explaining to you in why RSI as closing government should be able to win this debate. Now rebuttals against the member of opposition. So they mentioned on how they can still have inspiration by humans, like I mentioned before. This is basically agreeing upon what the government side is mentioning. And also the opposition side mentioned on how robots won't basically take over and they will still have human input emotions, like mentioned before. This is also like what I talked about. And then they talked about the opening opposition says case, and they can actually generate art, and with just clicking on the code there won't be any passion. That's why people should be able to put in emotional thinking. I think that generally through most of the opening the closing opposition side speech, they're also talking about how they would be still having robots, and that it would still be emotional because they have the help of humans. Lastly, there was one last rebuttal that I wanted to give, and it was that artists are not doing 90%, and why should they just not use robots? Because it's more convenient. But still, the idea is still around artists, and that's why artists will take the credit for this. Thank you for listening. I hope that closing government wins this debate. Thank you.
Audible and visible.
Yep, can hear you.
Okay, then without further ado, my speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Judge, honestly, the opening half was a mess. It was full of assertions without talking about the actual benefit it brings, especially the government bench. Okay, firstly, I'd like to talk about OG and how we win over them. Their literal sense is about the quote-to-quote point of art. They as showing the message of the artist is so beneficial. Judge, we believe that the point of art they're talking about only relies on the narrow frame of where people are so sophisticated and where people are so interested in understanding the meaning of the art. Judge, I like to explain to you, looking at the propensity analysis, the most likely case of a frame. Look, let's just take Starry Night, for example. A random person walks up to the painting and looks at it. Would one think, wow, I see the artist's soul inside this painting, or wow, the painting just looks pretty? Judge, I believe that is the latter because nobody investigates a painting. But if anybody investigates a painting, if this is true, this is only the very minority, the minority of the society who actually do this thing. And this is the frame that the government bench relies on without explaining why this would be likely in any way, Judge. The government bench does not have an impact in the first place. The OG says that the AIs don't have emotions. Judge, AIs can actually mimic humans' emotions, but let's just assume that we
Why?
statement in some way later. Judge, they never explain the impact of the argument. They never explain how this sort of emotion, this feeling, is a benefit. They simply say that emotions are the purpose of art for some reason, and that emotions are so important that without emotions, the painting's purpose is so lost and the painting has no meaning at all. Judge, just because feelings are not in art doesn't mean just because feelings are in art does not mean that the art is particularly beneficial, like the government is literally asserting. The whole government bench says so-called benefits are not actual benefits in the first place. Judge, the OG literally contradicted their case with their third argument. The OG says that the AIs will basically take over jobs the artist has. Judge, they say that the humans will put in their feelings. They believe that human drawings will have an actual benefit, but they believe that people will not be able to differentiate between the artwork that a human made and art that an AI made. They just contradicted their stance on first and second argument, and I like to take a POI.
There also wouldn't be any creativity in these AI generated arts.
Okay, I was about to get to that, but let me just explain it. Okay, Jeremy, Judge, I don't believe that these paintings should actually be judged in the first place. Paintings, artwork is actually objective, not subjective, and this theme called creativity is a part of the artwork, and we believe that not 100% of the artwork is going to be created by the AI as motion states. And when this happens, the humans will put in some kind of significant factor to put in, but not like 90
POI.
as the OG explains in the first place. Okay, when this 90% happens, they put in emotion or something. This doesn't really have a benefit like the OG is pretending. Okay, now I like to move on to CG. They say, as the member of government says, they say that if a lazy person types a few codes or a few words into it, then it is not putting emotions. Judge, the characterization CG put in as lazy would be shown the same if the person paints his or herself. We believe that the word lazy does not only apply to codes, it applies to the painting itself as well. Judge, would the emotion actually be shown if a lazy person paints a lazy painting? They say that the artist's paintings would not sell because any person can use AIs to paint the exact same thing. Judge, is this even in place? Plagiarism. This is actually illegal, and I believe that this would be very unlikely. They give great effort trying to prove their point about soulless drawings, comparing AIs with 5-year-olds. Data, they're basically the same. Judge, this is a simple assertion that doesn't even make sense. Why is this so? Judge, AIs are not going to do 100% of the work. The CG basically runs on the base of the OG's arguments. Okay, they say that we are repeating the part on how AIs can also have emotional drawings. And well, wasn't your team the one that gave an unclear mechanism on arguments? Now I'd like to take that POI.
All right, so you mentioned on how humans would still be able to input in the art that AIs do, but then wouldn't that go to the government side?
The motion clearly states, and the OG clearly characterized their stance as putting 90% of the work of the humans, and we believe that 90% isn't actually beneficial, and we believe that like putting a little amount of work into the artwork is okay. And the government side literally assumes that having a lot of emotions and a lot of the feelings and a lot of the human significance is somewhat beneficial when they don't actually explain it. So why do we, CO, win over OO? We thank the opening opposition for providing the argument of how people can paint even though they're not exactly so good. Although this is true, the OO did not explain nor mechanize this clearly, so we believe that we take over this case. We mechanize as the following. Even if they use artificial intelligence, they still have a reason of drawing this. They still have some different points compared to other drawings. We should always remember that making a piece of art can be in a lot of ways. They just need to have like a reason for drawing, and they just need some reasons from drawing this. Judge, we believe that art should not be judged in the first place, as it is not objective, but rather subjective. It is weird that the government is trying to make judgments saying human drawings are better than AI drawings because of its emotions, but there is no real standard for artwork, Judge. Does all art be better if just by having a purpose? Then what is the purpose of learning all these skills of art, Judge? Judge, in the first place, they explain the purpose of having emotions, but we don't really understand why the purpose of art has to be emotions when this doesn't actually bring an important or like critical impact in the status quo, which they never explained in the first place. Judge, if you agree that these emotions don't actually bring an impact to the drawing, please vote for CO. Thank you.